What?
You've said these impending layoffs are due to
Okay, why don't you lay off? Like, literally. Next question.
Which White House official
Your
was
mom.
responsible?
Next question. Okay, go.
I have 2 questions.
I have 2 questions. What Party City did you buy that blazer from? And also, shut up.
The economic...
Stop! I literally said, you guys, not to say the word economic. It's gonna make me upset.
It was reported this morning that the president said...
You're ugly? Yeah, I heard that. Next question. Am I almost done? You told me I had to do this for 5 minutes and then I get a fun drink from Starbucks.
Follow-up question.
No.
Caroline.
No.
Can I...
Like, you're so annoying.
I wanted to ask about the president's plan.
Can I ask a question? Like, that's what you guys sound like.
Does the president have a plan to continue to drill?
So actually, I just spoke with President Trump this morning and he had to say this about drilling. Next question.
Morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever this video finds you, welcome to Ticks. So my girl had a press conference today starring our favorite FBI agent, if you want to call him that, Kash Patel. The big news that came out today was the Confederates tried to make a big deal about some emails of Jeffrey Epstein that mentioned Donald Trump. They redacted the woman's name that they claimed to be a victim, but her name is not redacted in the original emails. And they wound up contacting the young woman. And of course, she said for the umpteenth time that Trump never came at her crazy. If anything, she said he offered to help her get some babysitting gigs because he had no idea what was going on with Epstein and the girl at the time. But she said she was never a victim of Trump, and none of the girls that were victims ever mentioned Trump. So it was a big nothing burger of an email. Big nothing burger of an email. So there's that. But then today, of course, a quote-unquote federal judge caught themselves trying to get involved in ICE activities, and this is what came down the pike here in Chicago.
And we start at 5 with breaking news. A federal judge has ordered the release of potentially hundreds of people held by immigration authorities.
WGN's Brona Tumulty was in the courtroom when the decision was announced and joins us live from the Dirksen Federal Building with more. Brona?
Good evening, guys. Yeah, that judge making several decisions today based on a 2022 consent decree barring federal agents from making immigration arrests without a warrant unless there is probable cause that person is in the country illegally or poses a flight risk. And now hundreds of arrests made here by DHS are being called into question.
This whole operation, for the last 2 months, the terrorizing of our neighborhoods, the brutalizing of people here, has all been unlawful. That's what it's going to show.
Mark Fleming from the National Immigrant Justice Center is speaking about the wave of arrests witnessed in the Chicago area over the past few months as Operation Midway Blitz unfolded. Today, a federal judge ordering the immediate release of 13 people whose arrests violated a consent decree from 2022.
I hate to tell her this, but those people will not be released. And her little getting away ship will be quickly overturned. Just like the one judge who wanted Bondino, the head of the ICE operation, Department of Home Border Patrol. She wanted him to report every day what he was doing. He was like, "Chick, what?" Like it. Holman, you would not believe this ridiculousness. And I'm pretty sure he's already called Holman on this ridiculousness. And Holman's like, don't worry about it. Just keep them locked up. What are they going to do? Come and take them? Like, they're not going anywhere. We'll quickly have this overturned, probably before Friday, if not Monday. These guys aren't going anywhere, so just sit tight. Just sit tight. But they got to be ridiculous. But you know what I say in situations like this? You slap an ankle monitor and you lock them in the house with these people. I mean, the worst of the worst. The rapists and the murderers. You lock them up with these judges and mayors and governors and aldermen. Lock them up with them. Throw them in their neighborhoods. Put an ankle monitor on them and give them the address and be like, here, this is where you'll be staying. We'll drop you off. They'll protest, but you have the right to stay there. After all, this is America. In fact, that's your house. You can have it if you want to. Just like when they dropped those illegals off in Martha's Vineyard, you saw how quickly they got them up out of there. The Confederates are way more than happy, glad, anxious, frothing at the mouth even to let these psychopaths live next door to you, but not next door to them.
Restricting those that occur without a warrant or probable cause.
Yes, they have been consistently violating the consent decree.
But hundreds more detained here and turfed out to detention facilities around the country could soon be heading home as well. The judge ordering the government to compile a risk assessment, some of which has already been done, for 615 people apprehended specifically by ICE in the Chicago area. 12 have been identified by the government as high risk already, but those without a criminal history or prior order of removal are to be released on a $1,500 bond and an alternative form of detention, such as ankle monitoring, pending their immigration proceedings. But it wasn't just ICE doing all the arresting, because Border Patrol under the Bovino regime has been running rampant too. In total, it's understood 3,368 arrests have been carried out by federal agents between mid-June and October 7th. But the judge wants to know what's happened between then and now. He's also ordering an updated arrest number, complete with risk assessment, for every person still in the country to be completed by Wednesday.
It's going to show that all of this, all of the tactics of Mr. Vivino, all of the tactics of ICE have been unlawful in the vast, vast majority of arrests.
First and foremost, I'll let her finish.
We mentioned the risk assessment for the 615 people specifically has been partially compiled. The Justice Department itself has deemed 313 people at least on that list are low risk and therefore not a threat to society. We're live at the Dirksen Federal Building. Bernard Tumulty.
Okay, first and foremost, I have to get my glasses. There are two types of ICE warrants. One is the administrative ICE warrant issued by ICE officers, not judges, used to detain individuals suspected of immigration violations, as in you overstayed your welcome, or you snuck into the country. Used to detain individuals suspected of immigration violations, common forms include Form I-200, warrant for arrest of alien, and Form I-205, warrant of removal deportation. These do not authorize entry into private homes without consent. Judicial warrants, this is the second one, signed by a judge or magistrate, required for lawful entry into private residences without permission, rarely used in immigrant enforcement. So, yes, they have warrants. They have warrants. What's up, baby? I don't know why these people like to play games. Like I said, move them in with them. Slap an ankle monitor, move them in with them, 7 deep. You want to protect them so bad? Here, you can feed, house, and clothe them. We're going to take the locks off your bedroom and bathroom doors because they also identify as trans. Isn't that right, Miguel? No habla inglés. See? You'll be safe with him. He's picking his teeth with a knife.
WGN News.
Let's get on to our main event. I swear, man, these people are silly. I love making fun of them. All right, so let's go. So Kash Patel is going to make a little stop in here because I read on Twitter that it has something to do with fentanyl. What's funny is that Colombia said that if the U.S. keeps blowing up both Venezuela, they're not going to share intel with the United States on drug cartels because, you know, you're screwing up Colombia's money. They thought it was going to be business as usual. They didn't think that Trump was going to be such a hard nose on drugs. I mean, we don't know where he stands on cocaine or heroin, but we definitely know where he stands on fentanyl. He's not playing games with fentanyl.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here today. We are going to get to my remarks and Q&A as always, but I do have the FBI director with me here, Kash Patel. You all know him well, and he's here to provide an update for you all with respect to China. As you know, President Trump had a very successful meeting on his trip to Asia with President Xi, where they discussed the need for China to crack down on fentanyl production and distribution, which ultimately makes its way here to the United States of America. And the FBI director recently traveled to China following President Trump's meeting to meet with his counterpart in Beijing. And he has a really positive announcement for the American people to share. So the president wanted me to bring the FBI director out to share that with all of you today. So Kash, please, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Caroline. As Caroline mentioned, we have some tremendous news thanks to...
I have to admit, that's a clean suit. That's a clean look. That's a clean look. I like that. Only thing, well, is that a pocket right there? Because if that's a pocket, you're missing the pocket square, but it's fine. You know, it's not the end all be all.
President Donald J. Trump once again for the American people. As soon as the president of the United States took office, he issued a mandate to rid America of the scourge that is fentanyl, a drug that has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. Thanks to his leadership and direct engagements with China, we set up a framework to execute that mission 8 months ago. Attorney General Bondi immediately thereafter took steps to engage her counterpart in China at the Ministry of Public Security. Pursuant to their direct discussions, as the FBI director designated to run counterpoint on this, along with the Secretary of State Rubio and Ambassador Perdue and the team here at the White House, we set forward a path to implement the policy needed to crush the plague of fentanyl. Deputy Attorney General Blanche and our teams have been hard at work ever since, ultimately culminating in my trip to Beijing last week. This was only possible due to President Trump's historic engagement with President Xi just a few short weeks ago that set the stage for today's announcement. At that meeting, the leaders reached an agreement. But just to put this in frame for the American people, a reminder here that nearly 100,000 people died of fentanyl overdoses just last year alone. Here, this year, under this president, the FBI has seized 1,900 kilograms of fentanyl so far. That is a 31% increase from the same time period last year. To put it in perspective, that's enough fentanyl to kill 127 million Americans. Fentanyl precursors are what makes up fentanyl. While we, the interagency, the Department of Justice, have been fighting hard to seize and stop drug traffickers, we must attack fentanyl precursors, the ingredients necessary to make this lethal drug. That was the sole purpose of my trip to China, to eliminate these precursors. And if successful, we would suffocate the drug trafficking organization's ability to manufacture fentanyl in places like Mexico. This was the first time an FBI director has been to China in over a decade and received the audience with his counterpart to address this matter directly. And again, thanks to President Trump's direct engagement with President Xi, the government of China committed fully to my engagement there on the ground in Beijing at a level never seen before. While at Ministry of Public Security headquarters, I met with my counterpart at MPS, where the Chinese government agreed on a plan to stop fentanyl precursors.
Okay. How many of y'all think China gonna uphold their end of the deal? Show of hands. Show of hands. I really think China gonna uphold their end of the deal. They're not gonna do that. That's their underground market. That's like telling America to stop selling weapons on the black market. They're not gonna do it. Stop selling black culture on the black market. They're not gonna do it. Stop bootlegging. That's your underground black market. You might as well tell the United States to stop sex trafficking children. They're not gonna do it. They're gonna find a workaround. They'll probably sell one component here, another component there, and another component elsewhere. And then, of course, the drug cartels will just buy them from those other three distributors. It'll cost them a little more, but that's just the price of doing business. You want your drugs, don't you? This is the only way you're going to get it. I wouldn't be, well, like I said, they're going to go up in price. China's going to go up in price for those markers. Watch.
What does that mean? The People's Republic of China has fully designated and listed all 13 precursors utilized to make fentanyl. Furthermore, they have agreed to control 7 chemical subsidiaries that are also utilized to produce this lethal drug.
I just bet they are
effective immediately. Essentially, President Trump has shut off the pipeline that creates fentanyl that kills tens of thousands of Americans. These substances are now banned, and they will no longer be utilized by the Mexican drug trafficking organizations or any other DTOs around the world to make this drug. This historic achievement has saved tens of thousands of lives. This historic achievement would not have been possible without the tremendous team of President Trump, the Attorney General, the Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and Ambassador Perdue in China, whose ground-level engagements were imperative to achieving this result. This is yet another example of how President Trump defends the American people, provides security for the American people, and puts the American people first. This is a historic first-of-its-kind achievement by any president to stop the scourge of fentanyl, and it should be championed by every single American. This achievement will save lives. We are thankful for President Trump's steadfast leadership, and this FBI will fearlessly follow in his footsteps to ensure that this mission of safeguarding the American public is achieved every single day. Thank you. Thanks, Caroline.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay.
I mean, short and sweet. But again, we'll see. We'll see. We'll find out come January, February. We'll find out. And by the way, people still haven't gotten their snaps. I guess they're supposed to be dropping them Friday. Depends on what the deal works out with. But they'll definitely get them before next Friday. But we'll see. Let's go.
Thank you again, Director Patel. Before we get going, I do have one quick scheduling announcement. Tomorrow, President Trump will be joined by the First Lady in the East Room for an executive order signing aimed at expanding opportunities for education, career development, housing, and other resources for young people transitioning from foster care to adulthood. This is part of the First Lady's Fostering the Future efforts, which are a Be Best initiative. Okay. In other news, the Democrats dragged on the government shutdown for 43 days, the longest shutdown in U.S. history. But tonight, thanks to Republicans, the White House is very hopeful that this shutdown is going to come to an end. The damage caused by the Democrats with this reckless government shutdown cannot be forgotten. It is entirely the fault of the Democrat Party. Just look at the vote count. Hundreds of thousands of federal employees have missed their paychecks. Tens of billions in wages and benefits were withheld, impacting vulnerable families. Millions of low-income Americans missed their SNAP benefits. Nearly 20,000 flights at airports across the country were delayed due to staffing shortages, causing Americans to miss family events, vacations, and work obligations. According to Airlines for America, an estimated 5.2 million travelers have had their flights disrupted over the course of the Democrat shutdown. And our economy has lost billions and billions of dollars in economic activity over the course of this shutdown, hurting consumer sentiment and crushing the travel and hospitality industries. According to a CBO estimate, the Democrat shutdown could end up decreasing fourth quarter economic growth by 2 whole percentage points. The Democrat shutdown made it extraordinarily difficult for economists, investors, and policymakers at the Federal Reserve to receive critical government data. The Democrats may have permanently damaged the federal statistical system, with October CPI and jobs reports likely never being released. And all of that economic data released will be permanently impaired, leaving our policymakers at the Fed flying blind at a critical period.
You know, I had to be honest. If I was Chuck Schumer, because they're going to primary him, and I mean, the ridiculousness of AOC in the Senate, I mean, idiocracy. We are living in the beginning stages of idiocracy, if you've seen that movie. But if I was him, instead of even worrying about a primary, because they want him out, you know, him, in all honesty, him, Hakeem Jeffries, and let's see, who's the other guy? The other black guy? That's Cory Booker. Painfully ineffective because they're still trying to fight for what they call, quote unquote, democratic socialists. That's the new catchphrase for communism. That is the direction that the Confederates, I have to keep calling them what they are, because the South is really trying to rise again. And they feel that if they can't have it, they'll destroy it. And the best way for them to be in power is to destroy it. That way, they're all in power with the money. This is why you had Doge and what was going on with the Treasury Department, where they were just stealing trillions of dollars left and right. As the guy said on the hidden camera, we were pretty much almost literally throwing gold bars off the Titanic. They stole so much taxpayer money on the way out the door that it's unfathomable. There should be firing squads for these people. But I digress. The Confederate Party, the Confederates, they're done. They're rebranding. Their Democratic run is over. Their Confederate run was over. Their Democratic run is practically coming to an end. So now they're going communist. And in all honesty, if they really cared about the American people, they wouldn't even be fighting with Trump. If anything, they would be fighting for Americans, not illegals, not the most marginalized, as they call them, that being trans. You would be trying to sterilize people's children, enforcing perverts in women's locker rooms and other spaces. You would be fighting to get these jobs that are coming in because of the tariffs. You'll be fighting to get those jobs into this country. That's how you get the voter base back on your side. I mean, you already have the black vote. I mean, they're slaves. They're slaves to the Confederacy, so they'll always vote for the Confederacy no matter what. Vote slave master no matter who. But if you want to sway the moderate and the Republicans to your side, just like Bill Clinton did, just like Obama did, you have to be on the side of the American people. You have to promise the jobs. You can't promise the jobs right now as far as being in the presidency, but you can promise trying to bring jobs into your areas. The first thing you need to do, you need to reinstate the crime laws back to 2015. You need to reinstate the crime laws. You need to get cops back out on the streets. Yes, get the drugs out of the community. Yes, get the illegals out of the community. It was a failed experiment. You're losing it badly. No radical judge is going to save it. You're not even a year in, and over 1 million of them have deported, and they're just doing it every day because they killed the stolen Social Security numbers, and they're working backwards, and they're killing off the double Social Security numbers. Why do you think you have all of these advertisements for LifeLock and other identity theft devices out here like crazy? All these security breaches, all this cyber security, mainly dealing with your home and your Social Security. You just had a guy who worked in the Social Security office who's now in prison. He sold over 400,000 Social Security numbers to illegals. You've lost. The only way you're going to get the American people back on your side is to try to get those factories in your areas. What's going on in Detroit? I'm hearing that Trump is extending the president term for 6 years and senators extending to 12 years. I haven't heard that, but I mean, you never know. One last thing before I get back into this, regarding SNAP benefits, the way I look at it, especially just say food stamps. Let's just say food stamps, but SNAP. The way I look at it is, if you really want to curtail the fraud and the waste and the abuse of the system, I mean, you're always going to have the underground economy of it. But the thing about it is that you want it to go towards buying food, not the cash for SNAP cards. You know, those machines where a woman can put in her SNAP card and take out $100 right off of it or whatever. So she's got cash. In order to do away with a lot of the fraud, waste, and abuse of SNAP, instead of issuing out cards, you should issue out credits. And the credits will be applied to a SNAP app or website, okay? Where you go ahead, you just order your groceries that are on the website. So yeah, no more king crabs and all this stuff. And no, you can't use I'm not sure either, but I'll look it up. That's fine. And no, you can't go into like a Kroger or a Walmart and use those credits. You have to purchase your food through the app, just like how you do with DoorDash and everything. You have to purchase your food through the app, and either it can be delivered or you can pick it up. You know, that also helps create more jobs for people. Matter of fact, since it's a government program, the drivers, the delivery guys will be government people. Therefore, you're back to employing people to ensure that you get safe deliveries, and they deliver anywhere. You're two guys in a box truck. You understand? You have the elderly and the disabled, like mentally disabled. If they need help, then we'll go ahead and help them. They can call the hotline, and then they can walk these people through it. They call the hotline once a month or whatever if they need help placing their orders, and somebody will help them walk them through their order and it'll be delivered, if not that day, then the next day. That way you kill it all, and you don't have to have somebody getting $13,000 in SNAP benefits. Are you nuts? If anything, the most anybody should be getting is $1,000. But do keep in mind that you still keep that 2-year minimum with a 2-year maximum. You still keep that with the big beautiful bill, but you need to roll out the Snap app. That way you can curtail the fraud, waste, and abuse centered around the program. Am I making sense, or am I just talking? Anyway, let's get back.
It's hard to recap all of this without asking a simple question. Why? Why have the Democrats put the American people through this pain for 43 days in a row? And it feels like Groundhog Day being up here again talking about this Democrat shutdown. And the answer to that question is pure partisan politics. They started this shutdown with a ridiculous demand to force taxpayer-funded healthcare benefits to illegal aliens who broke into our country. Even after it was clear President Trump and Republicans would never force American taxpayers to pay for free healthcare for illegals. In fact, President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill fixed that problem. The Democrats kept dragging this reckless government shutdown on for weeks longer to boost their turnout in an election, perhaps one might guess. That's because the Democrats are totally captured by their far left-wing base who only care about attacking President Trump, even if it means hurting innocent Americans in our country. The Democrats' weakness and their unwillingness to buck the fringe members of their party dragged this harmful shutdown on for 7 weeks and inflicted massive pain onto the American public. But let's be clear, the clean CR being voted on today in the House of Representatives that will lead to the reopening of the federal government is what President Trump and Republicans have supported from day one. Our troops, air traffic controllers, and federal employees will be back to receiving their regular paychecks. Families in need will get back to receiving their food purchasing assistance, and the people's government will soon be back open for business. President Trump looks forward to finally ending this devastating Democrat shutdown with his signature, and we hope that signing will take place later tonight. On another matter, I want to address the affordability issue that's received a great deal of media attention this past week, which is ironic because it didn't receive that much attention when Joe Biden was here and inflation was at a record high 9%, the worst inflation crisis in modern American history. And President Trump won a landslide election in part to address the affordability issues created by Joe Biden and the Democrats. And that's exactly what President Trump has done since day one of his administration. Since the first day in office and every day since, the Trump administration has taken aggressive action to fix the Biden-created cost of living issues. The notion that the same Democrats who just shut down the federal government to sabotage our economy, rob people of their paychecks, and also helped Joe Biden ratchet up inflation to 9% are now suddenly affordability champions. That notion is completely absurd. And it's something only the liberal media would have the gall to push. But the reality is that President Trump and his administration have done so much to lower prices and increase the economic prosperity of the American people. And this president and his team of amazing economic advisors are going to keep working on this issue every single day. In less than 10 short months, President Trump signed the largest middle-class tax cuts in American history, including no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security, which will guarantee that next year Americans are going to put more money back into their pockets. The president has completely unleashed American energy dominance to help bring gasoline prices to the lowest in 5 years, and we expect them to continue to decrease And it has also lowered energy costs overall. There is more work to do. But again, the president's deregulatory and pro-American energy agenda is absolutely going to continue to drive down prices. This formula worked in the president's first term, and we expect that it's going to work again. And this is key because we know energy costs are the #1 driver of inflation. Again, just look at what Joe Biden did to our energy industry over the past 4 years of his administration, and look at what happened to inflation as a result. Everything became more expensive. To lower prescription drug prices and healthcare costs, the president has been working around the clock on this issue. He is obsessed with negotiating these good deals on behalf of the American people to bring down pharmaceutical costs and drug costs for Americans. And he has done so on a number of fronts. You have seen him discuss that in the Oval Office several times. To fuel small businesses, lower their costs, and incentivize hiring, the Trump administration has already cut 30 unnecessary regulations for every new one on the books, which we know will save employers and small businesses across the country thousands of dollars in regulatory burdens. All of these pro-Trump policies are working, and they will continue to work. Wages are rising at the fastest pace of the start of a presidential administration in 60 years. The cost of the typical new mortgage is down by nearly $3,000 per year. There's much work to do, and this administration will continue to do it. But President Trump has already made great progress in cleaning up the economic disaster that was created by Joe Biden. With that, I will take your questions today. And in our new media seat, we have Bev Turner, who works for a new outlet, a UK outlet, but based here in Washington, D.C., GB News. Bev, thank you for being here today. Why don't you say?
This is my favorite part.
Kick us off.
Thank you, Caroline.
All right, before she starts, let's see who's in the press pool. Let's see. All right, there's Peter Ducey. He's finally back up front. I don't see that she, what's her name? Caroline? No, Caitlin Collins. Okay, I don't see the she, Caitlin Collins. Let's see, California Cutie. She doesn't look like she's here today. Let's see here. Here's a new brother. I've never seen him before. Never seen this brother either. So he's new. Of course, we've seen the pretty Asian woman here. We've seen her before. Let's see. Of course, there's that black chick that asked that stupid question. There's the brother with the weird toupee right here. Here's a brother. I've never seen this brother before. He's new. Here's the California surfer dude. Okay. Got some of our usuals. A lot of new faces, it looks like. But let's get on to it.
So the clock is ticking on the Friday deadline by which the BBC must retract and apologise for their malicious edit of the president in the documentary shown last year. The recently resigned Director General of the BBC yesterday described the organisation as the very best of society and blamed the enemies of the BBC for this outcome. Also yesterday, a senior government minister launched a fierce defence of the channel in the House of Commons, saying that the broadcaster remains a light on the hill for people all over the world. So, does the president feel that the network is taking the situation seriously? Does he believe that they've shown sufficient regret? Does this strain the relationship between the president and the prime minister? And given that the organisation is publicly funded, is the president prepared to bankrupt the BBC in his pursuit of truth and justice?
Well, thank you, Bev. There's a lot of questions in one there. I will say, I know the president has a very good relationship.
Okay, so if you're not familiar with what happened, oh, you back? Okay. So if you're not familiar with what they're talking about, back during January 6th, when that happened, there was a speech that Trump gave, very similar to where they accused him. CNN and MSNBC edited the footage to where he said that white supremacists were very nice people. You know, of course we know, what's up, Ditro? Of course we know that's a lie. As we've seen the actual footage. So they edited Trump's speech concerning January 6th, where he was saying that they, let's go down and let's go and fight, but he was not talking about going and fighting for, let me just pull it up. Let me just pull it up. Let me just pull it up because I'm not really explaining it too well, and I'm sorry about that. All right, so
we're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
These clips showing the edited and original versions of a Trump speech have caused a major crisis at the BBC. The BBC's Director General, Tim Davie, and Head of News, Deborah Turness, have both resigned amid mounting criticism that the broadcaster deceived viewers. The speech was part of an hour-long address given by Donald Trump before protesters attacked the US Capitol on January 6. The Telegraph UK published an exclusive report saying it had seen an internal BBC memo from a former external advisor. The memo suggested that the documentary had edited parts of the president's speech, so he appeared to explicitly encourage the storming of the Capitol. The speech that appears in the documentary stitches two segments together that were more than 50 minutes apart.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we fight. We fight like hell.
Trump took to Truth Social to celebrate the resignation news, posting, "The top people in the BBC, including Tim Davie, the boss, are all quitting/fired because they were caught doctoring my very good, perfect speech of January 6th. Announcing his resignation, Davie said in a statement posted on the BBC website, "Like all public organisations, the BBC is not perfect, and we must always be open, transparent and accountable." The resignations come at a difficult time for the BBC, as concerns have been raised about the way the publicly funded broadcaster has covered other issues such as the war in Gaza.
We don't take the word of Hamas with total truth. We like to look into it when they speak, unlike the BBC, who had multiple headlines. They wrote, "Israeli tank kills 26, Israeli tank kills 21, Israeli gunfire kills 31, Red Cross says 21 people were killed in an aid incident," and then, oh wait, they had to correct and take down their entire story, saying, "We reviewed the footage and couldn't find any evidence of anything." Oh.
That's my girl. So as you can see, because Trump is filing a lawsuit against BBC, he got his lawyers talking to the BBC lawyers about a lawsuit. You see, he's already sued MSNBC to the point where they're now MS Now come the end of the year. All right. He's already sued CBS, Paramount, where it almost jeopardized their sale. That's why Stephen Colbert is out, because he's not making them any money. CNN, I think they got sued too. They got sued for, I think MSNBC got sued for 15 million, or they settled for 15 million. I don't think CNN, I'm not sure if he went after CNN, but he's going after these news organizations. You already see he defunded PBS and NPR, took away their government funding. Like, all of these Confederate media outlets are being destroyed for lying, for lying. Jimmy Kimmel lying, even came back, still lying. There's no such thing as Antifa. Then why do we know the word Antifa? These people will have websites and t-shirts and everything. There's no such thing as Antifa. Man, ooh. The ignorance that surrounds us is just baffling. Like, we used to chin check people for lying to us like that. We really do need to get back to that, but that's a whole different story. So that's what's going on with Trump and the BBC. He's getting ready to sue them for
relationship with Prime Minister Starmer. You have been there, you've seen them in their interactions, you've questioned both leaders in your time joining us when we've gone to the United Kingdom a few different times now. However, he has always been very frank when he disagrees with leaders, even whom he has a good relationship with. And the BBC, being a fair news organization, is definitely an outlet. I think these two leaders would disagree. The president has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers. And he thinks that's extremely unfortunate for the great people of the United Kingdom and Great Britain. And I think that the president was deeply concerned by the editing, the purposeful and dishonest editing of his speech that was so clearly fake news. And he rightfully dubbed that term many years ago. And this is a classic example of that. We see it in the United States all the time. We see it now in the United Kingdom. As you know, the president's external legal counsel has filed a lawsuit against the BBC. We expect that to continue. And whether they apologize or not is up to them. Thanks for being here, Bev. Ouija.
Caroline.
Sure.
I have your statement about the new Epstein emails that have been released by House Democrats, separate from what.
Oh, okay. So there she is. There's the he, she. I guess she was obstructed by cameras, but cute Asian chick is talking about Epstein. Let me back it up. I'm sorry. I was a little distracted here going through apparently the BBC. They feel that Trump is trying to destroy the BBC by suing them for lying. Shouldn't have lied. Stop lying. Stop lying. If you don't lie, you won't get sued. Anyway.
Ouija.
Caroline.
Sure.
I have your statement about the new Epstein emails that have been released by House Democrats, separate from why you believe the emails were made public. Can you address their substance? Did the president ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep. And this email you refer to with the name of a victim that was unredacted now and has since been reported on in this room, so I will go ahead and say it, Virginia Giuffre. And it was CBS's own reporting, Ouija, that recently wrote that Miss Giuffre maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her. And so I think it's a question worth asking the Democrat Party, and you should all go ask them after this briefing, of why they chose to redact that name of a victim who has already publicly made statements about her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and is unfortunately no longer with us. Mary.
Matter of fact, I believe that Guthrie girl, that's the one that they claimed turned herself into a human wind chime. I'm not trying to be, but you know what I'm saying. You know, thanks ABM for that reference. But yeah, they allegedly eliminated her because she was the one that they were trying to use. They wanted to use her as a main witness against Trump. But the thing about it was she wouldn't fold because she said Trump never did anything to her. In fact, this was the one that said that Trump was trying to get her a babysitter job, that they talked. Just talk, just talking to him talking to a teenager, like, oh, well, I got rich friends, they got kids, maybe we can get you some babysitting gigs. He was trying to help her out. In fact, I believe she is the one that Epstein was, I may be mistaken, but I think she was the one that Epstein was creeping on at one of Trump's parties, and Trump kicked him out. I believe that was the beginning of the end for Trump and Epstein's friendship. That's when Trump realized, oh, wait a minute, hold on. So apparently the rumors about him are true, because we all have friends that and associates we hear things about, like, man, hell no. Until you actually witness it for yourself. You don't believe it because, people lie all the time. People try to besmirch people's characters all the time. But until you actually see them doing it, then it's like, oh man, and that's what ended their friendship. And of course, as the one of the FBI agents who was looking for witnesses or people to speak concerning the Epstein situation. He said Trump was one of the first ones that called him back and said, yeah, come on down to Mar-a-Lago, we'll talk. And he said Trump told him everything he needed to know. He answered every question. He was very forthright. You know, he banned him from his properties and everything, and was never seen in his company or spoke to him again. That's when he told Giselle Maxwell, hey, look, you guys got to stop what you're doing. You got to cut it out. What are you doing? But it was too late. Too late. The articles were written. The FBI was on the trail. And then boom. Well, we all know the rest. But you know, then the Confederates tried to make a big deal about it. I mean, the girl has passed away, but do understand the reason why the Confederates, that being MSNBC, CNN, the reason why they redacted the girl's name, and ABC, the reason why they redacted the girl's name was so you wouldn't Google her and then Trump, or just her, and then you read for yourself exactly what she was saying concerning Trump and Epstein. And then you're like, oh, well, this is a nothing burger. Because she took a deposition before her untimely passing. She took a deposition. She was one of the witnesses, one of the victims. There were a lot of victims. Remember, the victims held a rally. The victims held a rally. They're adults now. They're not scared little teenagers. None of them ever accused Trump of anything. As much as they trying to nail him. Trust me, if they had any dirt on him whatsoever, after you saw all that lawfare he went through since 2020, ever since, post January 6th, or January 20th rather, of 2020, you think that if they had any real dirt on him concerning Epstein or Diddy, because do remember, they raided, listen to this, let's be honest. Let's seriously be honest here. They raided Diddy's house, right? I mean, they had the urban tanks and the combat gear, and they went in like they was getting ready to raid a drug den. Y'all remember all that? Had Diddy hemmed up at the airport, asking him, where are the tapes, bruh? Just tell us where you keeping it. Just tell us where you keep the tapes. Please don't let us destroy your house, because we'll start from the attic down to the basement, every square inch, until we find it. We will punch holes all through your stuff. We will destroy every mansion you have until we find those tapes. So tell us where the tapes are and save yourself the trouble. Insurance won't cover this. So he told them where the tapes were. So they went in the room, they got it up off the floor, got the tapes, took them back to the FBI. And I'm sorry, what is Diddy doing 4 years in jail for exactly? Buying taco meat? He bought tacos and wieners. He transported tacos and wieners across state lines for free costs. That's what he's in jail for. Not for assaulting Cassie, not for blackmailing senators, Republicans, and all that stuff. All right? I'm pretty sure he got a video of LeBron bent over the couch, biting on pillows and everything. I mean, them Diddy freak offs was wild, and he recorded all that stuff. And you know he had cameras all through his house. He got all that stuff on tape. Cassie spilled the beans. That was the struggle snuggle house. But yet, Diddy only doing 4 years for, transporting wieners and tacos across state lines? They were looking for something on Trump. They just couldn't find nothing on him. He would go to Diddy's parties, pre-freak off time, go to Diddy's parties, sit there, have a drink, talk some business with Diddy, because why the hell else is he there? Let's talk some business in the office. Yeah, okay. All right, is that what you need? Well, we'll see. I'll have my people call your people, and then boom, he's out the door. Goodbye. Because he already knew what goes down. They tried to nail him. All them tapes. And they got him for just trafficking. They basically threw him in jail for 4 years for being a freak. Somehow nobody's accusing Bill Clinton as a sexual predator while he was there, Aretha Franklin funeral. I mean, we all know Bill. Look, Bill and Hillary and the Pizzagate and all that stuff. I mean, it's funny. They're conspiracies until they're not. They're conspiracies until they're not. But it's whatever. All right, let's get back to this. Yeah, they don't have any dirt on. I know that just made black folks mad because y'all want to hate the man. Y'all loved his dirty draws up until 2015. But you know, it's whatever.
You got 2 questions on this. In the interest of transparency, why not just go ahead, release the full files on Epstein, get this all over with?
This administration has done more with respect to transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein than any administration ever. In fact, this administration, the Department of Justice, has turned over tens of thousands of documents to the American people. We are cooperating and showing support for the House Oversight Committee. That's part of the reason you are seeing these documents that were released today, because of the House Oversight Committee's and Republicans' efforts to get these out to the public. This administration also moved, the Department of Justice also moved to unseal grand jury testimony, which we know, unfortunately, a judge declined those requests. So this administration has done more than any. And it just shows how this is truly a manufactured hoax by the Democrat Party. For now, they're talking about it all of a sudden because President Trump is in the Oval Office. But when Joe Biden was sitting in there, the Democrats never brought this up. This wasn't an issue that they cared about because they actually don't care about the victims in these cases. They care about trying to score political points against President Trump, as we have, of course, seen with this government shutdown. And this entire thing, again, it's not a coincidence to the American people at home. There are no coincidences in Washington, D.C. And it is not a coincidence that the Democrats leaked these emails to the fake news this morning ahead of Republicans reopening the government. This is another distraction campaign by the Democrat and the liberal media, and it's why I'm being asked questions about Epstein instead of the government reopening because of Republicans and President Trump.
But given your interest in transparency, Karoline, why are White House officials then meeting with Representative Boebert in an effort to try and get her to not sign this petition calling for the release of the files?
Doesn't it show transparency that members of the Trump administration are willing to brief members of Congress whenever they please? Doesn't that show our level of transparency? Doesn't that show the level of transparency when we are willing to sit down with members of Congress and address their concerns? That's a defining factor of transparency. Having discussions with members of Congress about various issues. And I'm not going to detail conversations that took place in the Situation Room, in the press briefing room. Reagan.
So, from what I'm understanding, the GOP does want the release of the Epstein files, whereas the Confederacy really doesn't want the release of the Epstein files. They're just tap dancing, of course, lying to the American public about these files. Because believe you me, there are members of Congress and the Senate and the White House staff who have read these files. They know whose names are on there. They've known for years, especially now. If they don't know, they know now. So what you have the Democrats selling, or the Confederates, selling a lot of wolf tickets. Personally, if I was the GOP, I mean, in the matter of the social norm, I would release the files. But then again, at the same time, you're looking at a huge legal matter. You're looking at a legal matter concerning heads of state, former presidents, dictators, members of the royal family, senators, congressmen, and not just American. Yeah, a lot of foreign dignitaries that were on the Epstein Island. There's a lot of conspiracies about Epstein being part of the Mossad or working with him, things of that nature, that he was gun running. Because it's like, well, how did Epstein make his money? But what was his front? Giselle is probably only still alive because she will keep her mouth shut. And she has kept her mouth shut. Even when they hauled her before Congress, she kept her mouth shut. She's been very quiet, so they let her play with a puppy. But in all honesty, I'll say, just if in the interest of the general public, release the file. But in the interest of national security, you really shouldn't have dealt with them in the first place. Should have just left it. It should have just been a cold case. Should have just been a cold case, but it's too late now. It's too late now. Every month, somebody's talking about these files. So now you pretty much have no choice but to release them, but unfortunately, they're going to be redacted. Pam Bondi, really, in all honesty, this is Pam Bondi's fault for running her mouth. As ineffective and feckless as she is and weak as she is, this is her fault for running her mouth. This is her mess to clean up. Let's just be honest. This isn't on Trump. This is on her. This is on her. And she was a mistake. I've said it before. I'll say it again. She was a mistake. If anything, he should have tapped Janine Pirro to be the head of the DOJ. That woman is a shark. She is a mega shark. You got this weak-willed soccer mom who likes to wag her finger and talk sternly, softly yet sternly, but she does absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. You're going after the little fish, but you're not even really going after the capos, and you're definitely not going after the dons. Ineffective leadership at the DOJ. She was a horrible choice. A horrible choice. But we'll see how this plays out.
I have a question about the government shutdown.
Thank you. I'm glad someone does.
Wait. I was wrong. Look. Right here in this red, behind this guy, that's California Cutie. She took a seat. Take a look. Why?
President Trump.
But given your interest in transparency, Caroline, why are White House officials then meeting with Representative Boebert in an effort to try and get her to not sign this petition calling for the release of the files?
Doesn't it show transparency that members of the Trump administration are willing to brief members of Congress whenever they please? Doesn't that show our level of transparency? Doesn't that show the level of transparency when we are willing to sit down with members of Congress and address their concerns? That's a defining factor of transparency. Having discussions with members of Congress about various issues, and I'm not going to detail conversations that took place in the Situation Room in the press briefing room. Reagan.
I have a question about the government shutdown.
See, that's her right there. Sorry, I took it back too far. Yeah, it's California cutie right there. Normally she's standing over here in the corner. I guess her feet are tired. She had a long day. Anyway.
Thank you. I'm glad someone does.
First, on the government shutdown, the shutdown deal reverses the administration's reps, and it also prohibits more from happening until the end of January. I'm wondering if the president had input on this element of the deal, and if he's at all disappointed that's going to reverse the downsizing of federal government that they did during the shutdown.
I mean, look, I think it's about 6,000 workers total. When you look at that in comparison to the reduction in the federal workforce that this administration has done since January to get rid of the waste, the fraud, the abuse, and to reduce the size of our federal bureaucracy, we've done a lot of great work on that front, and we will continue to. But obviously, the president's main priority was to reopen the federal government and get people back to work, and that's what this deal accomplishes.
Caroline, there's been reports in Israeli media that the U.S. is considering building a temporary military base on the Gaza border. Can you confirm these reports?
So I had a conversation directly with the reporter who wrote this article, and this article was based on a single piece of paper, an inquiry that somebody in the Department of Navy made about an idea that may happen in the future. And this reporter deemed that as an official plan and ran with a story that the United States is looking into it. I checked with the highest levels of the United States federal government. This is not something the United States is interested in being engaged in. It's not something we are currently involved in right now that we will be funding. And the president has been very clear he doesn't want to see boots on the ground with respect to what's happening in the Middle East. We've made great peace. We've made great progress with the peace plan in Gaza, and we want to continue to see that move forward. But I put a comment in that story for a reason. And sometimes we see reporters take a piece of paper like this and just deem it as official policy. And sometimes that misleads people a little bit. Sure.
Speaking of which, yeah, that was a gunshot. Speaking of which, apparently the small hats, whenever they push Palestinians further into Gaza, they're going with their whole settler claim, settler land. We forced you out this way, so now we've taken over this territory. In all honesty, they need to give that land back. Like, nope, you don't get to settle here. You don't get to settle here. We're not playing that game anymore. At least that's what Trump should say, as should Netanyahu. But Netanyahu's not going to do that because he's a genocidal maniac. The whole point of Israel is to completely take over Palestine. And the Gazian Strip, that they're right there on the water. These people have no idea how much millions upon millions, if not billions of dollars that they could be making just by having control of those seaports. But I digress. At any rate, yeah, there should be no more settlers. Should be no more Israeli settlers in Palestine, in Palestinian land, as far as the Gazian Strip. Nope. Pack your stuff up and get the hell up out of here. Nobody told you to come over here. These people are getting their homes and their land back. I know you've killed thousands of them. You've killed thousands of them in collective punishment. But you don't get to take this over.
Sure.
There's been a question about UK intelligence sharing regarding the drug interdictions involving Venezuelan boats. How will that affect the U.S. military operation? There's been a lot of discussion about the high caliber of the intelligence that has been provided before any of these military actions have taken place.
I've seen that report. Oh, hello. I've seen that report. I'm familiar with the reporting, but we don't comment on intelligence matters, classified intelligence matters, as you know. As for the Trump administration's position on our narco-terrorist campaign in the Caribbean, it is going to continue. And the president has made it very clear he's not going to allow terrorists to bring illegal drugs that kill American citizens into our great country. Sure, John. I'll go to John and then Zolan. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Trump has talked about sending out $2,000 checks to U.S. citizens. Earlier this year, he also talked about sending a Doge dividend. That didn't materialize. Should U.S. Citizens expect a $2,000 proposal? Is the White House committed to making that happen?
The White House is
Yeah, I want my $5,000, Trump. You said 5K. Now you going 2? Oh no, I want the 5. Go back to 5, bro. I want my 5K. I want my 5K. I want my 5K.
Committed to making that happen, yes. And we are currently exploring all legal options to get that done. I don't have a timeline for you or any further details, but I can confirm for you that the president made it clear he wants to make it happen. And so his team of economic advisors are looking into it. And when we have an update, we'll provide one.
And do understand, all of this is tantamount to the Supreme Court upholding his tariffs. Because as we discussed the other day, was it yesterday or the day before? It was Tuesday, right? I didn't do a show Monday. I just wasn't feeling it. But yesterday, of course, we talked about how the Supreme Court is currently looking to rule on Trump's tariffs because they were being challenged, whether they were legal or not. And of course, if they reverse the tariffs, then the country is destroyed and the Confederacy will win. But in the interest of national security and actually saving the country, plus making sure that the big, beautiful bill actually does go through, the Supreme Court, they have to rule in favor of the tariffs. Like, it makes no sense that countries are taxing us for our goods and services, but we're not taxing them. That's crazy, especially when it's bringing in trillions of dollars. I mean, you brought in 18 trillion and it's not even been, what, a year? Imagine what it's going to look like in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. MAGA. You as an American should definitely be on board with that, because if the country is in the black, then prices go down tremendously. Healthcare, housing, food, and other essential goods, they all go down. Jobs are plentiful. You can afford it. I don't know how many of you were alive, let's say over the age of 20, back when Clinton was in office and he had balanced the budget by trading the debt for secrets to China, as well as the NAFTA deal. But I mean, everybody had money's mama. Do you understand? It was like the Dave Chappelle skit, "I'm rich, bitch." It was like that. Folks had money to burn, money to spend. We're still sitting on 90s money. I mean, seriously, we're still sitting on 90s money. You need for this to go through, or else it's over. It's all over. It's all over. Where are you going to get the money from? It's all over. Sorry. Let's go.
Solon.
You said at the top that one of the costs of the government shutdown was that people missed their SNAP benefits. Can you explain then why the administration went to court to fight the funding of food stamps and SNAP benefits?
So recipients missed their SNAP benefits because the Democrats shut the government down, and they forced the administration to tap into a contingency fund that did not even fund the full entirety of this program. And so then you had an unhinged judge who was trying to dictate from the bench what the executive branch has to pay for and where that money has to come from. That is judicial overreach at its finest. And so that's why the administration pushed back on that. We can't have the judicial branch telling the executive branch that we need to rob the Children Nutrition Fund, which is what this judge was trying to do, to pay for SNAP benefits. That's completely inappropriate and it's unconstitutional. And we've been proven right with that legal argument. But now the good news is, again, thanks to Republicans and in several hours, President Trump, the government is going to be reopened and SNAP recipients are going to receive their full benefits, which is what President Trump has always wanted to do. Stephen.
You know what? Also, I think it's very surprising. I have to be honest. I think it's very surprising that the federal government is funding SNAP and welfare, but looking back at what happened with LBJ, of course they are. How else are you going to keep the slaves in line? How else are you going to keep the slaves in line? You have to pay for them a place to stay and keep their bellies full, and just let them eventually kill each other off and just keep them in a perpetual state of a permanent underclass until you no longer need them, which hence the illegals. Hence the fight for the illegals. They're here to replace you. You are now been designated as useless eaters. Hence the SNAP program being reformatted. At least do 20 hours worth of work, volunteer something. You're not just going to sit up on your lazy fat ass eating crab cakes and Hostess ho-hos while scrolling on your phone all day, on your iPhone, running around in J's, trading it to get your hair done, talking about some I need a high what do they call a high calorie, not a high calorie man, whatever these dusty bunnies, these dust bunny females are saying about men. You know, I mean, you see how they're freaking out. They're still freaking out, but in all honesty, if I was the federal government, I would turn SNAP, Section 8, welfare, all of that, I would put it in the state's hands. Like, we're washing our hands of it. We're turning it over to the state. We're turning it over to the state. You no longer get federal funding. I would cut off all federal funding to a lot of these states. You handle it. You handle it. How about you balance your budget? I guarantee you that would make a lot of states balance their budgets. But we'll see. I mean, they won't do it, but I'm just saying, I would do that. Either that, or like I said earlier, I would go with the app, the SNAP app. I would go with the SNAP app.
Why also did you need the judicial process for that? I mean, during this shutdown, didn't the administration have a responsibility to tap into any of those reserves to ensure that essentially
we did. We did tap into it. We did tap into the contingency fund. And then the judge told us, no, you have to get more money from a children's nutrition fund. And we felt that was judicial overreach. You shouldn't tell the president which fund he has to rob because the Democrats are holding the country hostage by shutting down the federal government. Stephen.
Because in all honesty, when these judges do all of this judicial overreach, I mean, it's like, I would just look at them and be like, who are you talking to like that? I'm making this judgment under whose authority? Because the only authority you have to make something like that comes from my desk, not yours. So did I give you that authority? Did I give you permission to make that ruling concerning the nation? No. Then why'd you do it? You know, it's like scolding your child when they go off and make, you know, like they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Boy, is it. But like, you don't get to make decisions for the House. You don't pay any bills here. You're not in charge, Kathy.
Go
as
ahead.
well, if the president is considering a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell?
Again, he's answered this repeatedly. It's not something he's talking about or even thinking about at this moment in time. I can assure you of that. Stephen.
Caroline, I've got two questions about New York for you.
Sure.
First,
you always do.
Mayor
On brand for the New York Post.
Mayor-elect Mamdani, he said that he plans to reach out to President Trump and that, quote, this is a relationship that will be critical. Does the White House have a response to this planned outreach?
It's the first time I'm hearing of it. I'll let the president respond himself to that comment by Mr. Mamdani.
My second question, Jack Schlossberg, the grandson of President Kennedy, announced today that he's running for Congress. He, in the recent past, has referred to his uncle, the HHS secretary, as, quote, a rabid dog. And he has said that the Trump administration is, quote, the most corrupt in American history. Does the White House have a comment on this sort of comment from a rising star in the Democratic Party?
I don't even think such ridiculous comments are worth responding to. Obviously, those things are not true. And Secretary Kennedy is doing a phenomenal job bringing transparency and the gold standard of science back to our healthcare system.
Oh, let me ask y'all a question. Don't y'all think it's like, what's the right word that I'm looking for here? I want to say taxing. Don't you think that, let's go with that. Let's go with taxing. Don't you think it's taxing to have all of these Democratic candidates or whatnot? You ask them what time it is, and suddenly it's Trump's fault. Like, bro, I just asked you what time it is. Well, it's Trump's fault that we have daylight savings time. So, it's supposed to be 9:48, but really it's 10:48 because Trump in the daylight saving time. And I'm like, man, shut the fuck up. You can't make it on your own steam without bringing another man's name up. I tell you what it is, what it's like to me. It's like Shedeur Sanders fans. I'm gonna say this real quick. Shedeur Sanders is, to me, he's Johnny Manziel with Tim Tebow's fanfare. That's the same thing with Trump. Trump had his fanfare, his anti-fanfare is just as sickening as the fanfare for Tim Tebow and Shedeur Sanders. We know the kid's not ready to play. We know Tim Tebow couldn't play. The defense kept him in games long enough. He had some fourth quarter magic, but that only lasts for so long. You see he was out of the league in what, 2 years? I say throw Shedeur out there, throw his ass out there, and let's see understand the same problems that plagued him in college that because you all didn't really watch the games, you only watched the highlights. He was the most sacked quarterback in college over the past 2 years per year when they got to Colorado. And you can say that it was a bad offensive line, but the offensive line wasn't that bad. It's just that he held the ball too long. And whenever he could have a clean pocket. For some reason, he would try to run outside of the tackle box. And when he wasn't running outside of the tackle box, he would step up and try to run towards the sideline, trying to get yardage. And he would get chased down by defensive tackles who aren't even in the league right now because they weren't good enough. Literally, these guys weren't even invited to training camp. And they were sacking the shit out of him. You saw that in the Rams game when he went up against quality third stringers who they got cut too, by the way. And now you want to throw him out there on the Browns against a bad offensive line where the tackle positions are just in the trash and the receivers can't catch or get open, but somehow you want to throw him out there to think that he's going to provide some type of miracle whip. Just like Johnny Manziel, you wanted to start him way too early. This guy wasn't even studying his playbook. He was out in Vegas with a fake mustache and come on. It's the black version of Johnny Manziel. That's why they say he's not ready, because in the film room and on the practice field, he's not showing that he's ready to start an NFL game. You're not going up against college kids. These are grown men who make their livelihood on trying to destroy you. This isn't NIL money players out here. These guys are monsters. Monsters. If you saw him play against the Rams when he got sacked 5 times in 2 possessions in 13 plays? Before they finally took him off the field, his head was down in his lap. He looked so defeated. That's why they didn't put him out there on that 2-minute drive, because his confidence was destroyed. Go back and watch. They were out there mocking him, holding up their wrists and everything while they were knocking him around. These were 3rd stringers. What do you think the 1st stringers will do? But I say starting. Make a liar out of me.
Eamon.
Thank you, Caroline. The president's hosting a number of Wall Street CEOs for dinner tonight here at the White House. Can you give us the names of the CEOs who are going to be here and give us a sense of what the president's message to Wall Street is going to be tonight?
I don't have a full list for you in front of me, Eamon. I know you've reported on some names and we've helped you navigate whether those names were truthful or false. But I know the president actually plans to bring some of you into the dinner tonight. So you'll see for yourself in several hours if that's okay with you.
And there's been some reporting that the White House is frustrated with Bill Pulte and the rollout of this proposal for a 50-year mortgage. Can you tell us if the White House is frustrated with that rollout and if the White House still supports the idea of a 50-year mortgage for Americans?
This is a proposal that the president himself has commented on. I would refer you to the president's statements, and it's something that the administration is discussing and seriously looking into.
Let's just be honest. That's the 50-year mortgage. I mean, maybe they were saying it in jest or whatnot, or maybe floating the idea, but that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. That is by far one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, because you will never pay off that house. And when you pass away and you call yourself trying to leave a legacy for your kids, they're going to sell it because they're not going to be able to keep up with the payments, or they're not going to want it. They're not going to want it. If anything, keep it at the 25-year, but as it should be, once you pay off your house, you should not be charged land tax. That's ridiculous, because if you don't pay the land tax, then all your equity is gone. But I guess what they're trying to say is that after you finish paying off your house, you should turn around and sell it, considering how you'll probably be let's say you buy a house at the age of 30. So you'll be 55, you'll be looking to retire, especially if you've had a family. So you'll more than likely, like on average, the average homeowner starting at 30 or whatnot, at least a family homeowner, normally has like a 3 or 4 bedroom house. Let's say a 3-bedroom. If it's just you and your spouse, and more than likely they may have passed away or divorced or anything, then what you're looking at is you probably will either rent out or sell the house. So they think that extra income, considering how you're no longer paying a mortgage, you should be paying the land tax. And if you're not paying the land tax, then you're selling a house. No. You shouldn't have to pay land tax at all. In all honesty, nobody should be paying land tax, period. That's ridiculous. But that's another way for cities and states to increase their coffers. That's also another way for them to steal your house. Especially if you're delinquent on the taxes and somebody comes and pays your back taxes, they now own your house. Next thing you know, you're getting an eviction notice. What was that? There was a story of a brother. He was living with this girl, this woman. She had already paid the house off. The house was already paid off, but she was charging him rent. He was giving her rent money. All right. I think he was giving her like $1,200 or something like that a month. Just steady paying her rent money, not knowing that she owned the house. There was no rent to pay. Plus his portion of the utilities. So, because of course she inherited the house and didn't know jack crap about the land taxes, when she was getting the letters from the city, she didn't understand what they meant. So she gave them to him, and he opened them up and read. It was like, oh, you dirty bitch. So the mail kept, they kept sending her notices. So he said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. He went and paid the land tax, of course, and he owned her house, and then he kicked her out. The government is getting rich from homeowners. Yeah. That's what Brandon Johnson was trying to raise people's taxes, their land taxes in Chicago, to steal their homes in order to either you help me fund my $800 million deficit concerning these quote unquote illegals, or I just take your house in eminent domain because you didn't pay the land tax. Then I'll move the illegals into your house. He was doing that to people on the south side of Chicago. Because he's so he's pro-black. That's what pro-blacks do. Pro-blacks will stab you right in your black back by calling you brother.
Sure.
Thanks, Caroline.
Danny, and then go ahead.
Thank you. Some Democratic members of Congress have invited Britain's former Prince Andrew to testify on the Epstein scandal. I was just wondering if President Trump thinks that former Prince Andrew should indeed come and testify to Congress on that.
I haven't spoken to him about that specific matter, but I can ask him and get back to you.
Yeah, I told you. Yeah. Members of the royal family was on Epstein Island.
On the government shutdown, the president and House Republicans have made clear they were not going to negotiate healthcare strategy or policy while the government was shut down. Now, assuming that it reopens tonight, is the president intending to invite any Democrats over to have negotiations over these subsidies or any other plan to bring down the cost of health insurance?
I will just add that, as you pointed out, the Democrats were holding our country hostage to try to negotiate on a healthcare system that they created. Obamacare, as it's famously called, is a system the Democrats created. It is a broken system. It has driven up healthcare costs dramatically in this country. And now they shut the government down to try to fix that system they broke. It doesn't make any sense to us, which is why the president said that's a completely untenable position. However, once the government reopens, the president, as he's always maintained, is absolutely open to having conversations about healthcare. And I think you'll see the president putting forth some really good policy proposals the Democrats should take very seriously to fix, again, the system that they broke. You can't trust the same people who broke the system to fix it. And so the American people will continue to hear from the president on this issue.
Yeah, because remember during Trump's first term, he wanted to abolish Obamacare because it was, like he called it, it's a scam, and it is a scam. You mean to tell me that if I don't have insurance, you're going to charge me a penalty on my taxes? Are you serious? I thought this was the land of the free and the home of the brave. I could see with car insurance, yeah. Because here, like, in certain states, especially here in Georgia, it's a felony. Well, it's an arrestable offense to not have car insurance. Matter of fact, they take away your license. They automatically suspend your license, and they wish you would. Go ahead and drive through Hartsfield Airport on a suspended license or an unregistered vehicle. They dare you. They want you to. They have plate readers. How many people get arrested at Hartsfield because of they riding dirty? Those of you who live in Atlanta, y'all see them when they either get you right there at the terminal or they just wait till you come out. You come out of Hartsfield Airport and you taking 75, 85, be it north or south, and you see that the cops got somebody pulled over. Yeah, it's not always speeding. I drove Uber for a year in 20 during COVID. Yeah, they was not playing. They was catching folks riding dirty. Riding dirty. They don't play that. They have plate readers here. But as far as the healthcare thing, it needs to be, Obamacare needs to be abolished. The ACA needs to be abolished, and it needs to be, or it 100% reformed, because there's no way in hell that insurance companies should be recording billions of dollars in record profits with very little payouts. Very little payouts. There should be no such thing as somebody that's going in to see if you had a hangnail back in 5th grade, and therefore it disqualified you from your insurance benefits. That's ridiculous. Pre-existing conditions, they call it. That's ridiculous. Do away with that. And lower the cost. Lower the cost. Lower the goddamn cost. That's ridiculous. You shouldn't have to pay $600 to $1,000 out of pocket just to see a doctor. That's crazy. You shouldn't have to pay $300 a month for insurance, $300 plus for insurance. That's ridiculous. It should be subsidized through your insurance company to where it's affordable. It's ridiculous. But that's why you have RFK Jr. making the changes that he's made at the CDC. That's why he's made the changes in the food, especially with SNAP. He's still making changes on that. And this is why Trump is making drug prices affordable. Like he said, like if you're going to charge Germany $10 for this pill, why the hell are you charging Americans $1,800 for the same pill? That's ridiculous. It's going to be $10 across the board. Or hey, whatever it is, it's going to be that way across the board. And you know damn well you're not charging the Germans $1,800 for these pills. The only reason why you do it here in America is because you've let politicians get away with that. You rip us off. You've been stealing and robbing the American public for decades. No more. You're done. You're done with that. This is ridiculous. People shouldn't die because they can't afford their health care. Trust me, I thank the VA for taking care of my father as far as his hospital treatments go, because that stage 4 cancer, if it wasn't for him being a veteran, oh, please. You talk about depleting the resources. All that stuff is quote unquote free. It's free. I mean, somebody pays for it, but it's not us. Not one dime comes out of the coffers here. You should get to a point with the money that's coming in with the terrorists, probably by 2027, 2028, to where you should be able to work out a deal to where the federal government can pick up or subsidize the healthcare costs to where it's almost damn near free. There should be reformat the government insurance to where it's like, what do they call it? $10 co-pays and all of that stuff. You should get it down to that, to where it is seriously affordable, especially for middle class and lower income people. It should be affordable. You should have a true Affordable Care Act, not one that puts people in the poorhouse, not one where people die from ailments because they can't pay for open heart surgery or get their cancer treatment or anything like that. That's ridiculous. somebody lose an arm or a leg, there should be a government subsidy where they go ahead and fit you with a prosthetic. And not some cheap one, but one that you can learn to work with. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's 2025. There's no way in hell that this should still be an argument. But that's because you don't have the money in the coffers right now. But once you get the monies in the coffers and you can rein in these insurance companies and maybe create a government insurance company instead of just a subsidy company, then this won't even be an issue. It's amazing that it still is an issue. But thanks, Obama.
Up on the question about the $2,000 payments off tariff revenue. The president had also talked about using tariffs to bring down the national debt. Would this be in lieu of that? Like this is now the new way to maybe to use that tariff revenue?
No, the president put out a statement on this clarifying he wants to do both things with the tariff revenue that he's bringing into this country. Trillions of dollars are expected to continue to pour in. And it's part of the reason that the Supreme Court case is so vital for our country's future, to restore our manufacturing industry in this country, to protect our national security, to continue to allow the president to use tariffs as leverage to negotiate economic deals that are good for our national security. And that revenue can then be used for various reasons, to pay down our debt and also perhaps to give these rebate checks back to Americans, which again, the White House is exploring the legal options of how we can get that done.
Yeah, the tariffs will be used to pay down the legal debt. I mean, the legal debt, the national debt. The tariffs are being used to pay down the national debt. That's the whole point of the tariffs. That's the whole point. That and to help run the country, fund the country, defense of the country. That's the whole point of the tariffs. Because you didn't have any money. You didn't have any money, you didn't have the jobs. You had nothing. You were losing out. What are you saying? You say in Michigan it's very lucky. They give a point for not having car insurance. Here in Georgia, they tow your car. You driving on you ride dirty, suspended license, they tow your car. Remember Fannie Willis? Her and Nathan Wade had to drive like an hour and a half or 45 minutes or whatnot to go and pick up Fonnie's daughter because she was riding dirty. I think down in Forsyth or something like that. This is what got Fonnie more so in trouble, because her and Nathan Wade on body cam when they set up here. This is back in I think November of last year or something like that. But at any rate, like the daughter called. The daughter called. Yeah, mama, they finna take me to jail. They gonna take the car. And the boyfriend didn't have a license. Sorry, son of a. Anyway, so they had to drive down there. To pick up the car because they was gonna tow the car. And Fonnie was trying to get her daughter out of trouble, and they was like, chick, this isn't Fulton County. This is good old boy county. You are outside of 285. You have no power here. We don't care who you call. There's nobody you can call down here to help you. This is Trump country, baby. They'll tow your car. You better hope you in there with a licensed driver. Either that or they'll make you park it. It depends. It depends on what type of cop you run into, but more likely than not, they'll tow your car. Like I said, coming outside of the airport, you saw a lot of cops with people pulled over. Also, you saw a lot of tow trucks. I mean, tow trucks stay at the airport. It's almost like a tow truck factory out there. Yeah, they get you. Anyway, I think she's done.
Go ahead.
Caroline, Viktor Orban said this week that President Trump has promised Hungary some kind of financial shield. Do you have any details on how that will be structured or what that would look like?
I don't, but I'm happy to check with the National Security Council and get back to you.
One more. You recently said you'd check with President Trump about why he needs to get an MRI on his recent trip to Walter Reed. Do you have any more detail on that?
I do, and I'm glad you asked. As stated in the memo provided on October 10th, President Trump received advanced imaging at Walter Reed Medical Center as part of his routine physical examination. The full results were reviewed by attending radiologists and consultants, and all agreed that President Trump remains in exceptional physical health, which I know all of you will see with your own eyes later this evening when he opens up his dinner to the press, and perhaps you will see him when he signs the bill to reopen the federal government. So stay tuned on plans for that. Thank you, everyone.
And you notice something? Y'all notice something? Caitlin Collins, she hasn't asked the question in over a month. Although she's been kind of spotty as far as being there or not, but she hasn't asked the question at all. Peter Doocy didn't even ask a question. I guess they got everything that they need. Let's see. Before we get out of here, Hakeem Jeffries caught himself having something to say. Let me see. Let's see here. Where did that video go? This goofball. Let's see here. Wait, what am I doing? That. Refresh here. Yep, here it is. So let's see. Since we got a little time left, we'll go with what he had to say about Chuck Schumer. Come on, people. Okay. All right, let's go.
The Senate Democratic Minority Leader Chuck Schumer voted against the deal last night, but he's being severely criticized for not having enough control over his caucus to stop those 8 from defecting. Your colleague, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California, says the time has come for a change. Listen to this.
He's the leader of the Senate. This deal would never have happened if he had not blessed it. It's time for him to be replaced. He is not meeting the moment. He's out of touch with where the party's base is.
What do you think, Leader Jeffries? Do you agree with Ro Khanna? Do you think Schumer should be replaced?
Leader Schumer did not bless this agreement. He voted against it. And of course, Senate Democrats who voted no have made that clear. And what we've seen from Senate Democrats over the last 7 weeks has been part of a valiant fight that we have waged together to stand up in defense of the health, the safety, and the economic well-being of the American people. And we know Senate Democrats voted down the partisan Republican spending bill that gutted the health care of the American people 15 or 16 different times. And listen, it's unfortunate that you had 8 or so Democrats, 7 Democrats who made the decision to vote in a different way than the overwhelming majority of the Senate Democratic caucus, and what you'll see from the overwhelming majority of House Democrats when the bill comes over to us. But they're going to have to explain themselves. This fight continues, and over the last several weeks, we have successfully elevated this healthcare issue such that the American people are demanding action. And now it's going to be on Mike Johnson and House Republicans to demonstrate. Are they willing to actually do something for someone other than the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected? And there's an opportunity to do it by making sure that the Affordable Care Act tax credits are extended. Every single Democrat stands behind that proposition in the House. Let's see what the Republicans decide to do tomorrow.
You know how you can tell he's lying? These are flapping. These are flapping in the wind. They're flapping in the wind. And everybody knows that Chuck Schumer met with those. I mean, you didn't have to meet with John Fetterman. Everybody knew John Fetterman was not voting for the shutdown. Like, why the hell would I starve my constituents because you want to get your slush funds back, or you're trying to strengthen your resolve? I mean, you already knew you're going to win New York. You already knew. I guess you really needed Vermont, so you starved Americans so the Black Republican woman didn't win her governorship. I mean, you even sent Obama out there. Mr. Race Hustler himself, you sent him out there to fight for that white woman. Even the NAACP was fighting for that white woman over that black woman. But you know, this is why I tell y'all that racism shit does not fly with me anymore, and it really shouldn't fly with you anymore, because it's not about race. It's about you being a tool. That's what you saw, that Virginia situation. That was pro-blackness at its finest. If you're not part of the Confederacy, then you are a useless black. The Confederacy has no need for you. Neither do the Confederate slaves. They have no need for you. Look at what's going on with Charlemagne and Roland Martin. Look what's going on with Stephen A. Smith and Kerry Champion. Look at what's going on with Joe Budden and Tiffany Cross and Angela Rye and Bakari Sellers and whatnot. Look at how they behave. Look at how they act. Look at how Confederate slaves treat free men, and that are blacks who are not on the plantation, or even worse, blacks who are on the plantation, but they're not in lockstep and barrel with the queendom, or should I say the mammydom. Look at how they act. But everybody knows that Chuck Schumer told those other senators, Democratic senators, go ahead and end the filibuster. We got what we wanted. We got the elections in deep blue states. We got the elections. Don't worry about it. You can go ahead and end it. You guys aren't trying to hold on to your seats in 2026. 2028. You guys are trying to get up out of here, so go ahead and end it. So Hakeem Jeffries is just, of course, you know, this is why he's feckless and nobody likes him. But we'll spend a couple of minutes on him, his blunt message to Republicans. We'll spare him maybe 5 minutes. That is agitating.
Good evening, everyone. Let me first welcome House Republicans back to the Congress after their 7-week taxpayer-funded vacation.
Why did they go? Who? You see the gaslighting. We're not even. He didn't even speak for 10 seconds before he gaslit the media.
These people have been missing in action, absent without official leave.
But yet they voted every day. Every time the vote came up, they all voted the same. They all voted to end the shutdown.
Running scared, but they can no longer hide. The Rules Committee is going to meet shortly, and then tomorrow there will be votes on the House floor.
I'm sorry for the audio. That's just the way it is. And the vote on the House floor that he's talking about, yes, the Democrats and Republicans voted to open the House. Now, of course, it goes, you know, Senate, and then Senate, House, then back to Senate, and then, of course, Trump signs it. Oops.
And Democrats will continue to press the case to say to our Republican colleagues, you have another opportunity to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits and make sure that tens of millions of Americans all across the country in communities that Republicans represent, along with us as Democrats. Tens of millions of Americans, rural America, working class America, urban America, small town America, the heartland of America, and in Black and brown communities all across America.
Okay, I can't listen to this because of the audio, but also because, again, these are flapping. And to sit up there and say that you care about Americans, rural Americans, and then of course you got to play the race card, Black and brown communities. All right, you still on that garbage. If you cared so much, then you would have passed this. There was no reason for you to shut down the government. But again, you did it to, I guess, win elections. You got a Nazi, some goofy white chick who's clearly a lapdog and mom dominant. You lost Minnesota. That was your big boy. New York and Minnesota were your two biggest boys. You won the Virginia one. You can have that. Nobody cares. Gives a shit about Virginia. The best thing you got out of it was New York. Anyway. They put that damn finger. I know, right? Now he talks like Trump. Exactly. But I'll say again, if the Confederacy wants to win back the American people and American voters, then they need to get rid of the illegals, because let's be honest, the Hispanic vote is not in their favor anyway. The only thing they have to ride on is the white vote and the Black vote at 92 and 77% and dwindling, at least amongst Black men. Goofy white chicks with colored hair and sipping their mocha lattes, pretending that that they give a shit. Bleeding heart liberals, as we call them. And what? You've got 60% of Hispanic women voted for Kamala Harris, but do understand they were only voting for her because she was a Black woman. Again, the lowest voting group as far as females for the Democrats, especially Kamala, was white women at 43%. That's terrible. And you think that you're going to win these people over again, especially in the primaries? I think not. Not after this. As much as you want to try to pin this on the Republicans, nobody's buying it. You showed your hand. Now you're trying to gaslight the public. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It's over for you. At any rate, y'all. All right, we're at the mark. Yeah, I can get, what's today? Thursday? We'll see what transpires Friday. We'll see what happens. All right, let's get out of here.
Now, gentlemen, Mr. Butler's been up north, I hear. Don't you agree with this, Mr. Butler?
I think it's hard winning a war with words, gentlemen.
What do you mean, sir?
I mean, Mr. Hamilton, there's not a cannon factory in the whole South.
What difference does that make, son, to a gentleman?
I'm afraid it's going to make a great deal of difference to a great many gentlemen, sir.
Are you hinting, Mr. Butler, that the Yankees can lick us?
No, I'm not hinting. I'm saying very plainly that the Yankees are better equipped than we. They've got factories, shipyards, coal mines, and a fleet to bottle up our harbors and starve us to death. All we've got is cotton and slaves and arrogance.
That's treachery!
All right, bye. Thanks for the fun.
Get the fuck out!